Welcome back. It's Politics HQ right here on News Central TV. The once bustling southeast region of Nigeria has become a shadow of its former self. Violence, fear, and the lingering effects of the sit-at-home order have disrupted daily life and plunged the region into a state of uncertainty. Businesses are struggling, families are divided, and the future remains unclear. Well, joining us to discuss this complex issue of security and stability in the southeast of Nigeria and to analyze its importance as well as provide solutions for us to move the region forward. We have Ogbonna Ukuku, who is a project coordinator, Peace in Southeast Project, otherwise known as Pipe P. Ogbonna, it's great to have you on the program tonight.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
I think that should be Pipe P, P-I-S-E-P.
Yeah.
Sorry about
that.
Yeah,
Pipe P, yeah, correct.
All right, anyway, but maybe we can say pipe because we want to find out if peace is in the pipeline for the Southeast. But Ogbonna, as far as you're concerned, what are the root causes of the insecurity plaguing the Southeast? I mean, there are places, in the Southeast that I'm familiar with. I have friends, I have listeners and viewers and colleagues and people who I know who cannot go home like they used to go, people who cannot go home to Orlu, people who cannot go home to Okigwe and other parts of the Southeast. How did we get to this point?
Let me start by saying a lot of organizations, both international organizations, local NGOs have actually done a lot of needs analysis, social impact analysis, and they've looked at some of the issues, like you asked, what are the things that led to this, or what are the root cause of these issues? It boils down to some very critical issues, which I'll try to, distill as we go ahead with this conversation. First things first, it started off as an agitation because a lot of people felt there were genuine agitation, anyhow you want to look at it, the lack of infrastructure, lack of leadership being, provided to the people. People felt, being left out, being part of a nation, in the governance structure. You don't see that high level participation, you don't see people from this region, participating at that highest level of governance in Nigeria. And then the infrastructure issue is there. And again, you now moved from that agitation to a point where it now became, some criminal elements now decided to hijack the entire process, because they say when people are idle, when people are not engaged, it becomes a toolbox for the devil. So a lot of criminal elements now got into it and now started taking advantage of that vacuum, and then began to do some negative businesses, and then which has become a huge business in the negative side of it. So you can trace it all from an economic from political angle. You can see that some of these things, just because it started off as an agitation, a genuine agitation, people trying to make demands at the national government, say we need this, we don't have this. Genuine issues. I mean, let me give you a very simple example. The Southeast is known for commerce and industry, and then an average Igbo man imports goods, and then as his goods comes, from, let's say, any part of this world, he has to go to Lagos to go and clear those goods. So some of these agitations are real issues that when people begin to look at it, there's this sentiment, it pulls a lot of sentiment. Oh, it's true. These people really don't see us as part of Nigeria. It's not like other places don't have the same kind of issue, but some of these peculiar issues, and also considering the fact that South is the region, when it comes to the GDP of Nigeria, the contributions that they make, the way the region contributes to the GDP of the nation, it shouldn't be overlooked. So my point, or our point is, this issue has been brewing. And because of this lack of governance, lack of leadership, being able to even have people sit on the table to have conversations, this is where we have found ourselves.
But Ogbonna, yes, indeed, the man from Nnewi has to go to Lagos to clear his goods from the Apapa port. But it could be argued that the man from Uyo has to go to Apapa as well. The man from Calabar, where he has one of the oldest ports in Nigeria, may have to go to Apapa to clear his goods. The man from Rivers State, where you have 2 ports, if not more, officially under MPA, also has to go to Apapa to clear his goods. So doesn't that defeat that theory that the man from Newi, for instance, Southeast, is not made to feel like he's part of Nigeria? There are several people who are not made to feel like they're part of Nigeria. I mean, talk to the Northern elders and the groups from the North right now. They just feel that Nigeria has abandoned them.
So let me start from the point where, a man from Rivers, I'm not saying that men from other parts of Nigeria are not having similar issues, but when predominantly people from a region is known for a certain thing. Let me use an example. Okay, let's say people from Northwest, because they are known for agriculture. And then you say for them to get fertilizer that they will use for their agriculture, they need to, first of all, come to Aba to get the fertilizer. I know. So it begins to look as if, you don't have regards for people from that region, because that is what their trade is. That's what they are known for. So I'm just giving that as an example. So predominantly people from this region, this is what they do. All right, they are known for commerce and industry. So if you make life a lot difficult for them, I'm not saying, if you heard me very well, I said other parts of Nigeria are having similar issues. But I mean, when their grievances have genuine things that you can see, you can feel the pulse of the people. And these are the things that the evangelism being canvassed by the people on the other side, those who convert these guys into negativity. These are the things that they are using. So those conversations, those engagements are the things that we are here to profile, bring in that, that human face to, let's have a discussion.
So
our region cannot continue.
One could argue that this is what should have been the move, by the leadership, the leaders, and people of the southeastern part of Nigeria, rather than resort to a militant approach through IPOB and the Eastern Security Network, who started this sit-at-home order, and from there it led to what we have today.
No, you see, these are the things. So when there are no alternatives to have conversations, when there are no alternative platforms to have conversations, this is exactly what you see. Because if you have a well-articulated program that would actually show people that, okay, I want to have a conversation with you. I've said it on different forums. See, if, for example, the militarization that has happened in the Southeast in the past few years, okay, where has it taken us to? That's the point we're making. So since that hasn't worked, since we have not been able to get the people off the bushes, or taking them off from crime, so shouldn't we just try a non-kinetic approach, which is what PHQ is providing, to offer a well-detailed, strategic, platform where negotiations can happen, even at the highest level of governance. So people can see that I'm going to care for you by providing infrastructure in your place. I'm going to care for you by giving you well-structured, detailed educational programs.
So the question I'm asking, sorry to interject, sorry about that, is that...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this sit-at-home, which was declared and now was enforced through violent means, where, market women, market men, transport, people were killed, buses were burned, people were burned alive, just to force them to stay at home. One would have argued, and we had, attacks, men being armed and all that, forming a security group. Yes, indeed, one would have said, okay, the way to have gone about this was to use the approach that we are discussing now, instead of going down with a sort of militant approach.
No, so that's we're all saying the same thing. So that's why we're bringing the solution. We're bringing the platform for that conversation to happen. Now the militarization has happened. Now the people have gone into the bush. All those non-state actors carrying guns all over the place have happened, and now we are seeing that the GDP of the Southeast state has actually dropped drastically. People can't do their businesses freely. So I mean, it's time that we all sat down and said to ourselves, this is not the Southeast I used to know. In your opening shot, you said it. The Southeast we used to know has become something else. Growing up in Aba, I used to see people come from Cameroon, come from Burkina Abidjan to come and buy goods from Aba. But those things don't happen anymore because, I mean, what happens? Because you're even either too scared of what's going to happen to you when you get there, or you might come in and then there's a seat at home and there's some chaotic thing happening, because the difference between like I always say, the journey from a state of anarchy to a centralized state is when you have one set of rules and you have institutions that will carry out those rules, and you have an informed citizenry, which is number 3 key thing, which is so important. Because if you don't have an informed citizenry, what happens is that some of these people can be moved from being normal human beings to becoming things that they are not supposed to be. And then the last thing is having a leadership structure. And guess what? Every single component I've mentioned here comes from an informed citizenry. Because if you have bad educated people, or people that don't have exposure and they become your leaders, it becomes a problem. So in all of this, all I'm saying is, what we are here to do is to find the proper solution. Let's try other things. They say if you continue to do the same thing over and over, you're not getting, you want to get a different result. That's insanity. So I mean, we can't have the caliber of people we have from the Southeast, and then our region will be going down the drain. It's not. Right. It's not right.
Ogbonna, thank you. We have Mary Ikoku now joining us. She's Chairman Media and Publicity Committee of Peace in the Southeast Project. Mary, thank you so much for your time. The government and security forces have launched, numerous operations to combat insecurity, but this has been conducted has met widespread criticism from those within the Southeast and even outside. What alternative solutions are being proposed to, these combat operations? Or do you think that is also part of what we need to see to bring peace back to the Southeast?
Well, thank you very much for that question. So the thing is that you're asking that what is the alternative approach? Of course, the Nigerian government has continued to bring on different approaches to address the issue of insecurity and well-being and disruption in the region. But you ask yourself, how effective has this been in this work done? Of course, you can understand that every leadership will bring on their kind of approach at solving peculiar problems. So, what PHQ is advocating for is the alternative that is non-kinetic in nature. Non-kinetic in the sense that it's looking at it from...
Okay. Mary, I apologize. It seems your Zoom is muted, so we want you to take a moment to check it out and unmute it so we can hear you better. I'll come back to you in a moment. But back to Ogbonna, Ukuku, the role of the indigenous people of Biafra in the region's security and political landscape, we just talked about it, but it's a contentious issue. What's your take on their influence and on their activities?
Like I said, there are 2 ways to look at the influence that they have. Now, I said there are genuine agitations, and those agitations are fueled by things that people can feel. I give you a very simple example with infrastructure, just using a very simple example, infrastructure. Now, when it comes to governance, they will got certain things to show that these things are not in existence. Our people are not part of what is going on in Nigeria. Number 3, as simple as, because I said a lot of research has gone on. People have actually gone there to actually find out what's going on ground. Now, things as little as, how come we don't even have DPOs who don't even understand us? Let's have DPOs from the Southeast. police the people. No, we're not talking about having a state police. No, we're not discussing state police. But if you do your indexing and do your manpower audit, you will find policemen who are from the southeast region, and these are people who are known. Bring them to come and head the divisions and the commands there. So people begin to feel like you understand their problem, because I mean there's a cross-cultural dimension to conflict resolution that we must look at. Okay, now what fuels this thing is actually one of the things we're trying to stem. Because if an agitation is going on, first of all, like people will always say, where a baby is crying and pointing at, is it that the baby's mother is there or the father is there? So there's something that is there that we need to look at. And these are the reasons why some of these analyses were carried out. The survey was carried out by some international organizations, by some local NGOs. And then we found out that these things really exist. So the solution is what we are now bringing, because the influence will continue to be there. Yes, the influence will be to an extent, because there are people who are also affected by those influences. Like I said, a man who is doing his business, who they shut his business down. Can you imagine? Do you know banks in Nigeria also have lost a lot of money because the financial system has lost a lot of money because of the sit at home? So it's affecting everybody. It's actually affecting. I was on a radio program, on Radio Nigeria a few days ago, and then people were calling from as far as somewhere in the north, saying that their businesses are being affected because their customers in the southeast, because I mean there's this trans trading thing that happens, all over Nigeria. So some of these things, the trading platforms are all being, short circuited and all of that. So it begins to brew, and as it brews, like it's affecting everybody. So in reality, the influence is there. Some people are being influenced out of fear because they don't want their goods or services to be affected, because they also feel the absence of, leadership. So it cuts across.
All right.
So you can't say that the influence is 100% or 50% or 30%. But I mean, but just that the agitations, if you listen to every person, everybody's saying, almost the same thing.
All right. Ogbonna, thank you. Mary, if you're with us, let's look at the ongoing battle between, IPOB, or let me say Nnamdi Kanu, and the Nigerian government. I'm sure you'll agree with me, Mary, and indeed Ogbonna, that it adds another layer of complexity to an already complex situation. What would you like to see happen going forward as far as this is concerned? Mary?
Well, that's a very interesting question, really, and I like it. The fact that you think that the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu would complicate the matter further. Well, you have a good point there. And I think that the law will take its course, and that the government will do all that is necessary to ensure a peaceful coexistence of everyone in this country. I do not believe that there's any leadership that will want to see chaos or want to entertain disruption in any zone. So the case of Nnamdi Kanu is something. Yes, you do have a point there. It may have its own implication, but at the same time, it's also very important that we realize that Southeast is quite a massive space, and a good number of people in that space also have their own yearnings. The demands of IPOB and the followers of Nnamdi Kanu they have their own legitimate demands. So it behoves on the relevant authorities to do things right and follow it to a logical conclusion. But I don't believe that any government will want any kind of continued inflammation, if you like. So I'm thinking that at the end of the day, what PHQ is doing will be contributory to the success that will even lead to eventual release of Nnamdi Kanu, because what PHQ is clamoring for, or advocating for, is peaceful coexistence, is peace in the Southeast region. And what that means is that there is no development. You can't have development. You can't build critical infrastructure if there is no peace anywhere.
Mary, finally, because of time, because of the want of time, what role do you think the people from Nigeria Southeast can play in ensuring the return of peace and economic prosperity to the region?
Good. The role that the people of the Southeast can play is part of what PHQ is doing now. This initiative is beginning to be that catalyst that may restore peace in the region. So bringing a socio-political approach to a prevalent situation of insecurity is something that is a welcome development. And so far, it has received a whole huge acceptance from different quarters in the country. So I feel that more individuals do have a bigger role to play by stepping forward and joining the fray and seeing how they can support this initiative and other similar initiatives in the region or outside the region that are looking to solve the continued insecurity in the region. And how you can do that is to say this non-kinetic approach that Peace in Southeast has brought forward or is thinking around this situation. How can we mainstream peace to forestall a region reintegration of people of this region into the larger political, national political landscape or grid, if you like. So I think this is one great effort that needs to be commended, and I think it's going to go a long way. This is still morning, and so far it's been an awesome experience. The acceptance has been great, and I think that the work is cut out for members of PHQ, and all relevant stakeholders really do need to come on board, and that is the role everyone from the region will have to play.
We would like to commend you, Mayor Ogbonna, and indeed your team for the initiative, because, you know, everything can't be left to government. People have to step in and make things happen. Mayor Ikoku is policy development and agenda expert and also chairman of Media and Publicity, a committee of a Peace in the Southeast Project. Ogbonna Ukuku is project coordinator of Peace in the Southeast Project. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you on the program tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Right, and many thanks to those of you who've been watching from wherever you are for being nice company on the program. Tomorrow we'll continue our conversations on the important political topics in Nigeria. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good night.